If you're thinking about getting maybe a holiday gift for a bourbon lover of yours, or maybe you're a bourbon lover and you're looking to get something for yourself, I've got 5 suggestions here that are not bourbon. So let's start off with Balcones Lineage. This is a Texas single malt whiskey, comes in at 94 proof. When I talk to my friends about single malts, and there's a ton of great American single malts out there, the typical reaction I get from people is, I don't like Scotch. But there's tons of Scotch whiskeys that are not smoky at all, and there's tons of American single malt whiskeys that are also not smoky. Single malts have some familiar bourbon notes to them, but there's also something different. They're made typically, like this is made with 100% malted barley, but that malted barley gives it this sweetness, this fruitiness, and I think, again, if you think that you're going to get this smoke bomb, that's just not the way it works. So the Texas single malts, to me, have a little bit of a different character. And again, I think if you're a bourbon drinker, something like this Balcones Lineage, it's not terribly expensive, under $50, but it's fruity, it's sweet, but it's also got some of that Texas brashness to it too. And I think that it's different enough, but not so different, that this is something that maybe you want to consider. So that's number 1. Let's also talk about Scotch. So again, there's different types of Scotch whiskey. Some are smoky, some aren't. Just pick this one up. This one's not even open, but this is one of the ones that we did at the tasting. And this is the Macallan 15-year-old double cask. And it is absolutely outstanding. This one comes in at 86 proof, so it's not going to be terribly hot, but it's got this great richness. It's got oak. It's got some dried fruits in there. It has a nice mature taste. It's aged in American oak and French oak and sherry, oak barrels that have had sherry in them. So it picks up some of that sherry flavor too, and you can see by that nice dark color that the sherry imparts this richness too. Now this bottle runs about $160. You can also pick up the Macallan 12 sherry oak for under $100. And I think, again, if you're looking to have like the best in Scotch whiskey without having that smoke, and that maybe beating you up a little bit and you don't like that smoke, Macallan makes some outstanding expressions. So if you're familiar with Macallan and you like it, I think this 15 year is a good place to go. $160, not cheap, but it's sort of like, in the believe it or not, the lower end of the price range. If you haven't had Macallan before, you can find this at a lot of fine restaurants. Have a taste of the 12 sherry cask, see if you like it, and before you go and spend the money. But I think this is an absolutely astonishingly good, delicious pour. All right, so you say, you know what, I don't want to hear more about Scotch. Let's talk about something else different. If you're not sure, if you don't want to kind of dive right into a real spicy, herbal, vegetal kind of rye, there are some other options. Sagamore Spirit Double Oak Rye. It's a rye whiskey, but it goes through that double barreling process like Woodford Double Oak or Old Forester 1910. And the beauty of that second barreling is that it just tones down some of that rye spice, and you'll get some rye notes in there, that kind of herbal, nice herbal, spicy aroma. But there's also some toasted marshmallow and caramel from the double barreling, and some oakiness too, but it's not bitter. And I think this one is just absolutely delicious. And I think for, let's say, the bourbon drinker that doesn't know that much about rye, this is a good one to start with. It's a beautiful bottle. I think this makes a great gift. I think it makes a great presentation. About $65 a bottle. And again, I think any whiskey drinker would appreciate this. It's great. It's great neat with an ice cube, and it makes a terrific cocktail too. Now, if you want to take a little bit of a walk on the rye side, on the wild side, and try something that has more of that rye profile, but is absolutely astonishingly good, I would recommend this Dad's Hat Pennsylvania Straight Rye Whiskey. This happens to be a Founder's Cask, and I think this is the place to go. Founder's Cask, it's a single barrel. This is 129 proof. And you might think to yourself, wow, that's going to drink really hot and spicy. But it brings in a lot of this nice oaky barrel characteristic that, oh God, that's so good. So you definitely get that rye, spicy, I always describe it kind of as an herbal, almost a perfumey aroma, but You get some nice sweet oak. It's not bitter. This has this sweet oak, vanilla, caramel that complements the rye spice really good. It's 129 proof. I don't think it drinks as hot as 129 proof, but a couple of drops of water tones this down. And this may make, to me, this may make the best old fashioned ever, because it's just got such a nice, bold set of flavors. I make an old fashioned with this with some nice Vermont maple syrup and some Woodford chocolate bitters. It's just a great cocktail. But you can, this is also just as good neat or over ice. I would bet, like a lot of your friends who maybe are bourbon drinkers probably have never heard of Dad's Hat. And the whole Pennsylvania rye tradition, you know, they've been making whiskey in Pennsylvania since before the Revolutionary War. And there's a great history of whiskey making in Pennsylvania. And Dad's Hat has revived a lot of those traditions. The other thing that I like about this bottle is that it's farm to bottle. So all of the grains are locally sourced from farmers in Pennsylvania. Another part of the story that is really interesting. So here's kind of a combo platter for you. And this is another really interesting one. So this is New Riff Kentucky Straight Malted Rye Whiskey, aged 6 years. So it's not, it's a malt, but it's malted rye. So it has some of that interesting kind of malty sweetness along with some of that rye, but it's kind of a different profile. And at 6 years old, I think the best way I could describe this is it's kind of soft. It's soft on the nose, it's soft on the palate, it's got some warm, rich flavors. So that's the New Riff malted rye 6 year, and I think that one's a great one too. So again, holiday season, great time to think about gifts for those friends, for those that you love, in addition to yourself. So there are hopefully some things here that you'll consider. I think all of them are excellent. And again, just something different for your shelf. Thanks for watching.